Welcome to the ManTFup Podcast. I'm KimmyB.
And Lenny.
That's right. We're here in the Man Cave, episode 32. Now, before we go any further, remember, like, subscribe, share, follow. We are absolutely any and everywhere, and we absolutely love it when you comment on the clips that we post on social media. In fact, it's a great point of reference and usually gives Lenny and I content on weeks when we don't have an incredible guest in the studio. Like today, you're stuck with...
Just the two of us.
We can make it if... Okay, I won't sing. Sorry. Now, unfortunately, Lenny did not do his homework this week, but it's all good because, Len, I've seen quite a few headlines over the past week or so that I think kind of pivot off of the conversation that we had, especially with Grant Cardone. You know, we talk a lot about where the country's at financially, the American workforce, what's changed, what needs to change, what it's like being, you know, an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a leader, what it's like being a worker bee, you know, and not that there's been some disturbing developments, but things are getting a little crazy. We had another major retailer announce that they're shutting 150 stores and laying off 20% of their workforce. That was Bed Bath & Beyond. And then we got the update that the CEO or the CFO actually
offed himself,
jumped out of a window, you know, which made me feel very reminiscent of like the 80s market crash. I wasn't old enough to be aware of it, but I know when we've
savings and loan crash.
But I feel like that was the thing that was happening. It was either people jumping in front of subway trains, people going out of windows in very high skyscrapers, a lot of people in the, you know, the money markets and things like that.
Mostly guys.
Mostly guys. I mean, but finance is a very male-dominated industry.
Why is that?
As well.
Do women not like it?
No, because you have, I mean, I think it's also a very big old boys network. Very big. Getting into those brokerage firms, getting into those big hedge funds can be difficult. I think it's a very, very masculine environment and energy, and you have to have that. I think there's a lot of alpha females out there that can hold their own. I mean, there's women on the stock market floor, on the exchange. Mm-hmm. There's definitely incredible brokers. There's incredible money managers that are female. But it takes a special type of, you know.
I think females would be good at it because they're analytical predominantly, which is mainly what the finance market is.
But would you okay, but with finance though, and this is something, and I could be completely wrong, I feel like a lot of it is also still kind of, I don't want to say gut instinct, but I feel like finance is intuition too. Like you can, like commodities, like you can do your research.
It's called insider trading.
Is that what it's called? Okay, never mind. But I feel
Comes
like
from
there's
inside.
Yeah, okay. You're not helping the conversation. No, but I think that there's also a level of risk involved, you know, when you're doing something, because you know, what is it usually? The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, but it can also be...
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's risk versus reward. It's what it boils down to in life in general, you know.
But do you feel that way? I mean, you're a little bit older than I am, not much. I don't know how aware you were of the markets in the 80s when they were crashing down around you or down around us. But does it feel like that right now? Does where we're at economically, does where we're at as a country, does it feel like...
It's, you know, if you look back throughout history, the country goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. It's it's cyclical. Just the way it works. It's, you know, a Great Depression. Okay, well, how did we get out of the Great Depression? Well... We started building infrastructure in the United States to bring all the jobs back. It's continuous. The cycle is continuous, and you have, you know, major corporations go under all the time. Poor management, you know, different things. I mean, to be in retail right now is difficult, I'm sure, because people don't want to leave their house. They're scared, they're lazy, they're whatever the case may be. People are like, fuck it, I can sit on my couch and the shit gets delivered. What do I have to do anything for? Why do I have to go to the mall, to Bed Bath & Beyond, or wherever? It's just, it's a new type of problem for retail. More than the economy, because people are clearly still spending money.
Yeah. But do you not worry, though? I mean, and as a person who's been in real estate, and again, like I said, we had Grant here, and Grant talked about large scale, you know, real estate, whether that's hotels or large, you know, retail spaces or commercial real estate. You know, that's the thing that scares me about it. I think about Sears. I think about Kmart. I think about some of our kind of institutional brick and mortar type of locations, right? The stores that built America, so to speak, shutting down and at a really rapid rate, right?
Yeah.
And these are the stores that led to the birth of, the mall. And I don't know that anywhere else in the world has malls the way America has malls, but they're taking up major swaths of real estate. And we have some of the busiest malls in the world.
Yeah, they're still,
right here in South Florida.
They're still expanding Aventura.
Yeah.
Every year they're expanding Aventura.
Yeah, but who's going in to fill these spaces? Like when I think about those 150 Bed Bath & Beyond locations, they're not really at an Aventura mall. They're in mini malls, right? But those mini malls are pretty big themselves. And usually if there's, I was talking to my mom about it recently, and it was like, if you see the Old Navy, you're usually going to see a TJ Maxx, a Michael's, a Home Goods. There's certain stores that all go up together. But Bed Bath & Beyond was one of those retailers that took up a massive space, 50,000 square feet. Who's going in there in 2022 to fill that space?
It's going to be difficult. A lot of these, America's become so used to being able to go to any retail store they want in a 5-minute drive or a 10-minute drive.
Suburban life.
A lot of these little suburban stores are the ones that are going away. Aventura Mall is not going to lose it.
No.
Boca's not going to lose it. But all these little places, so now people are going to have to drive a half hour to go to Bed Bath & Beyond instead of 5 minutes. So all of those little retail stores are going to get picked up by somebody else, and then they're going to be in there for 10 years, and then
But they're not little. That's I think my point.
But I mean, Kohl's, it's the one that's right here in Oakwood, the Burlington. Those stores come in. If they make it, they stay. I mean, the Kmart over here sat empty for 3 years.
Yeah.
Nobody was there. Now City Furniture picked it up. So, eventually somebody's going to come along and do it, but it's going to send a ripple through the real estate, through the commercial real estate on that retail level for sure.
But that, and I guess so. I mean, to my point as a person who
Halloween store is going to take it every October.
well, no offense. There's a Halloween every season, so not a Halloween, but Halloween
Pop-up.
and Christmas and Valentine's Day.
It'll be a pop-up store.
Mother's Day, Easter, 4th of July. I don't know. It's scary.
So you're worried about the landlords?
I'm not worried about the landlords at all. I'm worried about the fact that that's another. That's thousands of people that are going to be without a job. Right? Like when you're talking about
20,000, I think they said.
Is it? Well, it's 20%. So I don't know. Is that?
20%.
Yeah, it's 20% of their workforce is getting laid off. But that's 20% on top of all the people who worked at Kmart. That's 20% on top of the people who worked at Sears at one point in time. The JCPenney's that are closing. I mean, the list really does go on. The Toys R Us's. But what made me laugh about the conversation, because we actually talked about this on our radio show, was the fact that when Toys R Us closed down, people lost their minds. Like they took over Twitter. Oh my God. But when was the last time, Lenny, you actually stepped foot in a Toys R Us?
I'd go to Toys R Us at least twice a year.
At least twice a year.
At least twice a year.
Well, twice a year is not keeping Toys R Us open, but that's the point, is that there were a lot of people who hadn't been in Toys R Us in 10 years.
Yes.
And then were heartbroken that it was closing, but that is the story of, American commerce right now. It's why Jeff Bezos is the most successful person on the planet, and I'm sure there's a lot of store owners screaming, "Fuck you, Jeff." Because unfortunately, as much as we love Toys R Us, 90% of us weren't going anymore because we could go online, the convenience of just pressing add to cart and check out now. But it's kind of like, how do we, I think that we're going to have to, something's got to give, no?
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to start maybe teaching our kids that you should touch things before you buy them. But
that's
kind
a
of
great point.
It's kind of, it's kind of weird to me buying stuff online that I've never been in contact with.
Well, okay, so let me ask you
buying the same thing over and over online,
Well, like you know exactly what size jeans you wear, and you know the brand that you like. So going online to
But I bought them at a store and tried them on and wore them.
But now and if you're using that retailer online, that's one thing. But to your point, and I know you're an aesthetics guy, you went to design school, so I can imagine you wanting to know the feel of something, whether it's furniture, whether it's linens, whatever the case may be, if it's the texture of something. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of kids are even being raised to value those things. You know what I mean? Like, what is thread count? When you're buying towels, like, I don't know, just it came in a bag. Like, you have those, what is it, bed in a bag? Like that you could just go in and you get 2 pillow shams and a comforter and 2 sheets and whatever, and it's just like you have no idea how it feels, and hey, it was cheap. It feels like we've kind of gotten into that cycle.
Yeah, people are more concerned with convenience over quality, for one, which is horrible because if you don't care about the quality,
but it's of lesser quality.
Yes, it's disposable. A lot of things are disposable nowadays.
But that's leading to the trash issue. I mean, like that's again when we end up having a lot of conversations about.
Yeah, I wanted to do an interesting exercise, maybe in the next few weeks, on just making a list across the boards over there of all the shit that's happened over the last 3 years that were like, that everybody had a whole uproar about and fight over and everything, and just look at it and go, holy shit. This has been a tumultuous 3 years.
Well, that's what the running joke. It's the hold my beer joke. Like, we got through 2020 and 2021 said, here, hold my beer. And then we got through 2021 and 2022 said, hold my beer. And 2022 continues to say, here, hold my beer. Like, every time we get to that point, we're like,
unless you live in Florida, we do whatever the fuck we want.
Okay. No.
Pretty much.
Let me tell you, Florida has said, hold my beer on numerous occasions in 2022. Alone, like it's wild. Maybe you don't see it that way, but
side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, I definitely. There's certain things that you and I. It's not even straddling. You are for sure on one, and I'm so far on the other side. I can't even see you anymore. But it's all good. So that was one of the headlines, like I said, that I saw, and I figured I would ask you because I know you're the concerned. So you're not concerned really about that though. Like I'm concerned. Are we going to turn all these malls into green space?
No, I'm not. I'm not really that concerned about Bed Bath & Beyond closing.
It's not really just Bed Bath & Beyond, though.
I get it. But Staples fall. Sears was, a catalog store in the early.
Sears and Roebuck. No, you bought everything at Sears.
Yeah, but that was,
furniture, clothes.
That was the late 1800s, early 1900s. Yeah. They had a catalog. They were the Amazon of the day. It took you 6 months to get it, not 6 hours. More, yeah. But it was, it was the Amazon of the day. You bought it. You got a Sears catalog, and that ran its course. And everything does. I mean, there's big concerns that all the car dealerships are going to go away because they're like, what do we need car dealerships for? Tesla's already proven that you don't need a car dealership. They handle everything. They don't have to have big overhead, and
they have like 3 models though.
4, but it's not. The point is the car dealerships don't even have cars. I mean, Ford announced that they're going to go away with the dealership. So, I mean, those, when you're talking about stuff like that.
But again, this is like Carvana and these places where you literally go and you punch a code in and your car comes out of a freaking, like a gumball machine.
Pretty much.
Len, would you ever buy a vehicle without test driving it?
Yes. Only because, I bought the Charger without test driving it. I mean, we had a Charger years ago, but it wasn't the same one, but I bought it without test driving it. But again, it goes back to, it's going to be the same as Amazon. If you don't like it, send it back. That's anything you get on Amazon, you can return it. It doesn't matter.
Cars are not that easy to return.
It's not, I think, but they're going to have to deal with that. If they want to be without dealerships, they're going to have to deal with that. Now, maybe they'll have.
But then what happens to all the what happens to all the car salespeople?
This is why I'm telling you this is a bigger concern.
That's
because that is an enormous market that they're looking at. They're not.
Will they still have maintenance?
They're looking at closing it down. I guess they're gonna have to figure out how to have some kind of warranty stuff. I'm sure
that makes no sense to me. How do you just go online and go? If you've never driven a Lincoln Navigator, if you've never driven a Camry, it's because people
are buying Teslas. You can't go test drive a Tesla.
Yes, you can. Well, yes, you can.
Where?
Here.
Huh? Nick didn't go.
Say that one more time.
Nick didn't go.
That does not. Does that surprise you?
No.
You're coming from. Is he not your blood?
Yeah, whatever.
Did I not just ask you, would you ever buy a car without test driving it? Yeah. And what was your answer?
Of course.
Okay, so no, you can definitely test drive a Tesla.
I mean, listen, it's. I guess for some people, test driving is really important, but you can read reviews on cars. You can, I've been driving trucks my whole life, Ford trucks. I know that this year model Ford truck is going to be better than the one I drove 3 years ago when I bought that one new. So I don't care. If I want to order a new truck, I'll just order a new truck. I know what.
Yeah, but you know what you're getting because you've already had it. But for the first-time person, like, that was a whole, not to mention it was a rite of passage to go to a car dealership and to pick out your car and to kick the tire, whatever, stupid stuff.
But this goes back to the
No,
being in touch. This goes back to being in touch with things again.
Yeah, but
okay?
you're just as guilty.
Because,
you bought a car without test driving it.
If it's a first-time car for someone, right? This is their first car.
Yeah.
What are they fucking judging it against? What do they have to drive it for? They don't fucking know. They don't know what they don't have anything to judge.
So they should just buy a lemon because they don't know any better?
A lemon is a different story. It's like, how do you know it's a lemon? Like, if my daughter at 16 years old went to buy her own car, she would think the Hyundai drives fantastic.
Would you let your daughter go to buy her own car by herself?
No, I bought her car.
Of course.
I bought her car,
but have more experience.
She didn't have any options on what it was or
but did
how
you
to
take
drive
her with you?
No, I did.
I'm not, and that this isn't about buying kids cars. What I'm saying is to that's a life.
But it's about the desensitivity of the generation. They don't care anymore. They just buy it.
But neither do you. So you can't even blame it on them. Because you just did the same thing.
Yes, I did. Listen, if I wanted to go buy a new S-Class, I don't have to test drive it. If I want an S-Class, I'm getting an S-Class.
But how do you even know you want an S-Class without sitting in one and driving it?
Well,
I'm just saying, I'm lucky enough, because I've driven I had a car endorsement where that's literally what I did. Every week I drove a new car. But
was there any that you wouldn't buy?
Yes.
What?
So I love, love, love the design of the Jaguar, but the Jag doesn't necessarily feel to me as heavy, like as
it's because it's British.
As safe as some of the other cars that are of the same caliber would be in the same class. Like, there were little things about the interiors of cars, like the Maserati, trash. Like, inside just feels cheap. Like, you may as well, and this is not a knock, because this is going to sound like a knock, but like, you buy a Nissan, buy an Infiniti. You get more.
Is the Maserati still owned by Chrysler?
You get more bang for your buck getting an Infiniti truck with a similar body style than you would buying that Maserati, or upgrade and get the Porsche. You know what I'm saying? Like the Cayenne or the Macan or whatever. So yeah, but that was such an incredible benefit to me, because now when I buy, you know how many people have bought an S-Class and don't know the damn car gives you a back rub? Do you have any idea how many people have bought that car and have no idea that the driver and passenger seat massage you? That's also why so many Mercedes owners look happy when they're sitting in traffic, because they're getting a freaking back rub.
And probably a blowjob.
Maybe. Hey, but listen.
You just can't see it.
I literally sold cars to people at the dealership that I endorsed because I would tell them that. But you know what? Their staff
comes with a blowjob?
No.
Oh.
That it gave you a massage. However, if you bought it, if you bought it for your wife, she may give you a favor, or maybe you'll give her one. I don't know. The point is,
that's a favor?
In some households, Len, yes.
Jesus Christ.
In some households, I'd say that there's people. I'm sure I have a meme saved. I give those twice a year, birthdays and anniversaries. Not talking about myself, but anyway, I appreciate that though, and I'm grateful that I know that. And I wouldn't have necessarily known that had I not gotten to sit in. And when you're dropping $100,000 on a car, yeah, you should know why you're dropping $100,000 on a car. Like, that's silly. Like, we have no value for things anymore. Like, this speaks to the bigger conversation. It's like going online and buying a television, right? Like, I'm looking at TVs, and you can buy off of the size, right? So 85-inch TV, $7,000 or $900.
Yeah.
Right? And how much do I know about TVs? Not a whole lot. I'm sure one is great for gaming. One is probably better if you want to, watch incredible movies on it. The other one is perfect if you don't give a fuck if it's going to be outside, whatever. Like,
coming from someone who's old enough to remember when the remote had push buttons on it, TVs are, overrated. I mean, there's only so much quality you can get out of your TV before it looks like a video game.
Well, no, and then some TVs are made literally for video games now.
Yeah, so but like the new 8K they're shooting the NFL with last year. Did you see some of that? It looks like a fucking video game. It looks like Madden on the screen. If you have a really high quality TV and you can see that 8K they're shooting in, it looks like Madden.
That was the $7,000 TV I was talking about. Was the 8K?
Yeah.
But like most people haven't even caught up to 4K yet.
No.
So.
No, it's like I tell my friend went out, was like dying to buy this $5,000 TV. I'm like, bro, you're coming off some hunk of shit that fucking 3 feet thick, and you're buying, you don't need that. I'm telling you, it's going to be 1,000 times better if you buy the $500 one.
If you would like to watch me and Len in high def, I highly recommend buying
absolutely
the $5,000 TV. But again, to circle back, like, I can remember going into like a Best Buy or, I don't know, a Sears back in the day, like with the family, like around the holidays or whatever.
I still take my kids.
And you'd go and you'd look at, and looking at the big TVs. And then there'd be somebody there that could explain every nuance and every feature to you. And then remember they had like the home theater area that you could go sit in, and they had like the recliners set up, and you'd sit in there, and it might even be one of those big, but it's like, people used to enjoy.
Imagine the germs on all those chairs.
Oh my God, who cares? Jesus.
Everybody seems to care.
I don't care.
There was a viral TikTok of a guy wiping an escalator thing down. It was ridiculous.
I got hand sanitizer. We're good.
Oh, okay.
I got a little hand sanitizer. I'm straight. But no, like I feel like people are just missing out. And I'm an online shopper. Do not get it twisted. I shop online too. I'm a horrible returner. Like I understand all the pros to shopping online, but I still do, like when I do step foot in a mall, like I like the vibe. Like I like the energy. I like the people watching. I love the smell of like walking by the food court. I love deciding where I'm going to go to eat before I leave. Like, oh, maybe I'll go to Cheesecake Factory, or oh, maybe I'll go to the grill or whatever. I don't know. I love when I love that they keep expanding Aventura. I love when they add a new movie theater. Like, I started going back to the movies, obviously, because everything was, like, shut down. People, go to the movies. Take your family back. There is nothing like, and I know that it's expensive. I know that it's a treat for some families now because it costs you easily $100.
For a family of 4, yes.
Easily. And if you do the 4DX seats, no, you're looking at $150. For a night at the movies, because those tickets are like $30 a pop.
I haven't been to that theater. Have you been to that theater?
Yeah,
nice.
The new theater. Yeah, it's
my
cool.
kids have been there.
But what makes me sad? Nobody works there. Nobody works. Like when you walk into movie theaters now, you go to the kiosk and you get your tickets from a machine. There's a couple people that are working, making popcorn and stuff like that, and maybe there's somebody scanning your ticket if you don't scan it yourself. Like that used to be the place that, again, kids would get jobs. You'd work there in the summer. Like that was, your friends worked at the movie theater, like whatever. It's wild to me. Like we're taking away all of these opportunities for people to socialize. We're taking away all of these opportunities for people to learn customer service. We're taking away all of these opportunities for people to have these experiences that many of us grew up on, thinking like that was what made life in this country great.
Yeah, talking to people.
Yeah, but the movies are an integral part of
I've been running my
Americana
own social experiment because I've been walking every morning at the park, and I try and say hi to everybody I pass, and I walk the opposite way.
Does it make people feel uncomfortable?
Some people don't ever look up, but I walk the opposite way of the way it says. It says walk this way. I walk the opposite way so that I can see everybody that's walking. It's kind of, there's like maybe 2 of us that walk the opposite direction, and it's funny, it's the weather changes the way people talk in the morning. Some people, it took like maybe seeing me 5 or 6 times before they would say good morning.
The wrong way.
Okay. But it's really weird. It's really, it blows my mind how some people who I've seen literally 15 times
still won't speak to you.
Still don't say good morning.
Do you still say good morning to them?
Of course.
So you say it every time?
I say it to everybody. To everybody. There's this nice little Spanish lady. She's like, what is it, buenos noches?
That's good night. Nice try. Buenos dias.
What's good morning?
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, yeah. She says buenos dias every morning.
Why did he? I'm telling
what does it matter? What
I'm
am I
saying
supposed
buenos
to
dias
know?
repeatedly, and you continue to look at Nestor.
What?
You don't take my word for it?
I don't know.
Buenos noches. Noches night.
Oh.
Buenos dias. Dias day.
Okay. Oh, Oh, sorry, my little
my goodness
Cuban-influenced friend.
How disrespectful, Nestor. That I know.
She's a very nice lady.
Okay.
But I say good morning to her. She says buenos dias. And, it's just...
People just don't understand.
It blows me away that people are just not nice. There's the people with the resting bitch face that just, like, really? Wait, what are you so angry about? You're going for a walk. It's beautiful out. Why are you so... You look like you're, constipated.
Why do you think people don't say hi?
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. You're in an open, public setting. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are you scared of by being nice to someone that you might never see again? Mm-hmm. What is the problem? I mean, it's not like they're stopping you and forcing you to say hello. They're just, you're passing by them on a walk. Mm-hmm. What does it hurt to be nice?
Do you think that's gotten worse?
Yes, I think it has.
Yeah.
I think it definitely has. I think that's part of the disconnect in society.
Do you think that your kids would say hello to people? Would they walk in the opposite direction and just speak to strangers and say hi?
Yes, I think they probably would. I think they're probably more outgoing than some kids, and I think they probably, that just goes to basic manners. I don't know that they would necessarily embrace it like I do. I just do it for fun, just to see what fucking people will do. But I don't think they would embrace it like that. But I think if someone said good morning to my kid, they would say good morning back. Well, they would engage.
Okay,
they would engage. Which I think a lot of, and the younger people out there, which there's not many of, but they tend
at the park.
Yeah, they tend to,
Well, yeah.
You could still, it's funny to see because it's all different types of people walking. Mm-hmm. And it's just funny to see who's nice, who's not. Mm-hmm. Who just acknowledges, even if it's not hot, good morning. It's like, hey, what's up? Just
a nod. Like, yeah, acknowledge.
Just acknowledge that there's another human being crossing your path. It's that's going away, and that's fucking scary. That's scary because that goes right back to our main conversation here of people not being able to sit in the same room if they have one belief that's different. Mm-hmm. One. I mean, again, most of this country, most of the people, if you really sat down and wrote down your core belief system, most of them would have a lot in common.
But don't you kind of feel that part of that, like we talked about, though, like the more insulated you are, the less open-minded you're most likely going to be. So as we shut down stores, as people no longer are working with different types of people, because remember, say you needed a second job. So say you worked one job that wasn't cutting it, so you had to get a second job. So you work in an office with one type of person, right? Or kind of a similar corporate type of person.
Yep.
And then you go and you work in a retail store. So you might be working with kids. You might be working with maybe more immigrants who know first, people, you're working an overnight shift or a late night shift or something.
Strip
stocking
club.
shelves, whatever. Sure. Strip club, bouncing. I don't know. But you're forced outside of your comfort zone or that typical 9 to 5 experience that you have, even with kids, right? Like you get a job. Like I was at Cali Coffee the other day, which I wish they had Cali Coffees everywhere. I don't know how they do it. They have the most incredible staff. I think that you would probably agree. I don't know how often you go there.
Yeah, Miranda, 2 of Miranda's good friends and our family friends work.
They're incredible.
One manages the one in Cooper City, and the other one works here.
But I literally had to do a post on my Insta story about it, and I was like, first of all, if you're not having Cali Coffee and you live in South Florida, you're missing out. Secondly, if by chance a resume comes across your desk and it says former employment, the Cali Coffee, at least on 29th Avenue in Hollywood, Florida, hire that individual on the spot because customer service through the roof. They always have a smile. They don't care about standing out in the sun, taking your orders in the line. They always engage the customer. They always, if you look like you're struggling or what's good here, they can always recommend. Like, it's just coming from a family-owned business and looking at that, it's precious. And then when you see their camaraderie, And I'm sure they've probably got little beefs here and there or whatever, as every place does. But they really seem like they genuinely have a good time working at their job and things, you know, like.
Yeah, they look like they're happy to go to work.
Yeah.
It's like a cult.
You're not lying. It's incredible. But it's like, I feel like those opportunities are dwindling more and more. And as the economy gets crazier and things get tighter, you have more adults vying for those, you know, these types of positions. So again, if you're looking for qualification or you feel like helping somebody out or.
So that Kylie Coffee job, like I told you, my 2 family friends, young girls, worked there. The one started there, worked this one, I think, for 2 years, and then became the manager at the other one. So there's room in that company to grow, but only so far. But it's geared for very young people. This is a stepping stone. They know that's not a job that they're going to make a career for the most part. It's a stepping stone. So, you know, they have their peers that they're hanging out with at work, and it's kind of a fun environment. And yeah, it could be cool, but you don't get that anymore at McDonald's or the mall or.
But it's also like an invaluable skill set. Going back to your point, like every person that comes, I bet you all of those kids, if you were to pass them in the park, Len, and say good morning to them,
they would say good morning.
They would say good morning. And then the next time they saw you, they'd be like, hey, nice shoes.
Yes.
Like they would notice something else because this is the experience that they're getting in the workplace, right? Like these kids are just, when I tell you they are being set up for success, just because of the tools that they're being given. And I'm sure they were something that they came to the job with and they're just being sharpened, right? Like and everybody has it, but if you're never forced to use it or expected to use it or taught how to use it, like you don't sharpen that. And that's where you have people walking around the park not saying hello.
Yep.
And the more we lose these interpersonal skills, like before, every sales job was an interpersonal face-to-face knocking on doors. Like, right? The salesman started making house calls. Whether it was knives or vacuum cleaners or chocolates or whatever it was, these mofos got on a train and traveled around the country with their little suitcase. Hey, this is what I'm selling today, right? Like, and had to interact face to face with people. Now it's call centers that aren't even here in the country, you know, around the world. Like, it's wild to me because when that was the main source of, I guess, I don't know if that's white collar employment, because you always had the plumbers and the contractors and the people who did like blue collar, you know, kind of trade skills. That's a little bit different. And even with that, you still have to interact with people. If you're fixing somebody's toilet, you still have to have a conversation with them. But a
shitty one.
But I don't know. I'm sad. I'm sad, and I know that I keep going back to the Bed Bath & Beyond thing, but it speaks to a bigger problem in this country, and that's making me more nervous. Is, you know, as retail stores close down, that to me is a foundational part of the American workforce, right? Like, and as these places close and people lose out on these opportunities, it's not just money, to your point, Len, it's interaction, it's relationship, it's, you know, being able to communicate and converse with people that you would not otherwise run into because you don't have to in your house, right? We can be very selective in every other walk of our life with who we engage with, but you can't at work.
Yeah.
You can't when you have to physically go out and go shopping, right? Like when I go to Publix, I have zero control over who my deli person is. I have zero control over who the guy stocking the shelves is, over who my cashier is, right? So here I am having these conversations with people, whether it's help or just a casual, hey, how you doing? Yeah. You know,
it helps you to realize that everybody is a person.
Facts.
And, you know, everybody's the same. We all bleed red.
We do, but what do you do? Like,
how do you fix it?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Like, but is so.
You vote for me for president.
Okay. How about I move? Can I just move?
Where to?
I don't know.
Where are you gonna move to?
I don't know.
Where are people nice?
No, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm moving to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I don't know. Nasser was telling me about a friend who's got a cheap house there. Oh. I was like, hey, sounds good to me.
You could commute.
What?
You could commute.
I could from here.
You could just stay on Laz's couch when you're here.
Yeah. Or just go to, listen, I could take but even with that, Lenny, even with my job, a job that you would think, no, you have to be in a studio, right? Like, this is, no. We had one guy who was in Europe for a month doing his show in the U.S. from Europe for a month. Half the big dogs that have been doing radio for decades, after pandemic, they were like, you think I'm good? No. I built myself a studio. I'm good. Maybe once a week they're in the actual studios. Mm-hmm. But that changes the dynamic. And then when you ask them to go out into the streets, into the community, into the public, it's like, wait a minute. People? What?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's the pussification of America.
That's not even the pussification of that's the anti-socialization of America.
Yes, but that's all part of it. It's all part of it, Kimmy. It's all part of keeping people apart. Because people who are apart can't share ideas and can't come across things. I mean, we sit here, we have, my mandatory Tuesday fucking in the office meeting. Mm-hmm. Okay? There's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. We sit and look at each other's face and bullshit and talk about stuff that would never, ever, ever come up if we weren't in the same fucking room.
Yeah.
So that being together and knowing that everybody's on the same page and, knowing what people are thinking because they can't hide it. Mm-hmm. You can't hide your reaction when somebody says something.
Facts.
It's there. So that I can't see how you can build a team that's creative and that's in tune with each other without actually physically being there somewhat. And it's if you separate that, you separate the people, then you can put them in their own little boxes. This group is this group. 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 And you know what? We don't have to worry about those groups because they're never going to fucking talk to each other. That's how you can put the whatever on this side and whatever on this side, and there's no middle anymore. There's no retail where, you have to serve.
But what is the
where
point?
You have to serve the white guy, the white girl, the black girl, the black guy.
But explain to me the large scale point of all of this derisiveness, this division at the cost of the economy. Like that's I guess the bigger question, as you say, like, oh, it's a big plan, it's a big scheme. Like when we talk about the movie theaters closing down, when we talk about these retail stores closing down, like at the end of the day, this is the American economy. Like we are a blue collar country. Like it goes back.
So who can go to the movies now? You just mentioned.
Yeah.
Who can go to the movies now? What's going to be left of movie theaters?
That's the point, though.
I'll tell you what's going to be left. I pick. You go to a bougie fucking dinner. You go to some bougie seats at the movies. Mm-hmm. And you know who's going to be able to go? Only people with money. That's what it's boiling down to.
But why?
Who knows why? Somebody's got a big picture they're playing. There's stuff.
No, but it's also, you can't blame everything on the day.
No.
Like you have to, at some point we have to take a little bit of responsibility. It's like Toys R Us. You don't get to get mad that Toys R Us closed down all of its stores if you stop shopping at Toys R Us. You don't get to get mad at the movie theaters having to raise the price of tickets because nobody's going to the movies. You know what I mean? Like, so we yell about it being too expensive, but then we don't go and it only gets more expensive. So with that being said, it's like, how do we start to prioritize things like that? Like you're sitting there talking about the experience and in person and the tangibility of things and touching and feeling, yet you still bought a car without test driving it. And you have children that watched you do that. You said your son just did the same thing. Like, so, Len, you're not helping.
Yeah, but
when's the last time you took the family to the movies?
First of all, I used to take my family to the movies almost weekly.
Mm-hmm. When did that stop?
It stopped when the kids were about 12 or 13, and then they're like, I don't want to go to the movies. I took Joey to 007. Me and Joey have gone to probably more premieres than any of the others. Mm-hmm. But any Star Wars premiere, we all go on opening night, no matter what.
I love that, yeah.
And Marvel, pretty much the same. So we go on opening night. So, I take them. But they don't want to go see every movie anymore. Mm-hmm. I used to take them to all the movies that were coming out. Mm-hmm. And at one point, there was, a good movie, but none of them wanted to see Maverick. You know, I ended up seeing it with Joey.
Did he end up liking it?
Yeah, he liked it. Yeah. But you know, I would have if they were 12 and 10.
Yeah.
They would have saw it with no problem. I would have drug them there and.
Yeah. Do they go with their friends though?
Now.
Do they?
Now that they're teenagers, upper level teenagers, mid-level teenagers, they're going to the movies with their friends. I hated the movies. I hate the movies, Dad. I don't ever want to go to the movies. Really? Because now you're going to the movies with your friends.
That's even like bowling. Like bowling is fun too. Like bowling is like a blast. And I have my own ball because I don't like sticking my, I have my own bowling shoes and my own bowling
You don't like
ball.
sticking your fingers in other people's balls?
No. Not at all.
Only in your balls.
Only in the balls that I know and love. You know what I'm saying? Only in balls I clean. Like, anyway, but I do enjoy it. I'm not like fantastic at it. You know what I mean? But like I have fun. I think it's a great time with your friends, and you can do it. Like there's bougie bowling, but there's also still, relatively inexpensive bowling alleys where you
Pembroke and Dixie.
Yeah, but
scared to walk in there.
No, isn't there but Spares isn't bad. Like in Davie, isn't that the one in Davie?
Spares is nice, yeah.
And it's nice, and it's not overly. It's not like going to Lucky Strike can run you some cash, like certain bougier bowling alleys. But like again, a fun night for people that are employed and have the money to do it. But I love that your kids that are in high school are starting to go back to the movies with their friends. Like that makes me happy. I forgot because, like I said, I get to go to movies because of my job and premieres and things like that, like hosting. But like going to see Top Gun after not really having been in a movie theater for a while because of pandemic, like I loved it. Like, and now I've been to the movies probably like 7 times just because there's been a lot of movies, coming out. And I'm like, more people should really do this. Like it's fun and it feels very American. Like going to the movies feels very American when you know that was a thing that poor people could do. Like the movies was the poor man's escape. The drive-in is
still around, but it went away. But there's still a drive-in.
Well, and they have outdoor movies on Miami Beach. They have like an outdoor. I think it's like on the top of a hotel, and they were actually doing another one right before pandemic hit that I was loving. It was in downtown Miami, right, like where the cruise ships are and everything. Oh my God. Yeah,
they have it at Bayfront Park.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, they have it set up here at Dania Point. They had it set up.
Did they?
On the side of, where Lucky's was?
Yep.
On the side of that wall, people would go out
and they do it in Hollywood too. They do it at Young Circle like every Friday night. But again, it's sad though that more people
don't do it.
Don't actually bring their families because it's free. You can go hang out. People bring their lawn chairs. They bring picnic baskets. They bring coolers. And it's dope. But it's just one of those things where, again, it's getting to know your community. It's getting out and socializing. Yeah, I'm happy.
People are scared they're going to bump into somebody with a Trump hat or a Biden hat. It's really...
Do you really think that's what it is?
I think that's part of it. I think most people inherently don't want confrontation. And they're going to feel maybe some kind of way when they see other people.
But it's funny to me because you go to a sporting event, right? And at that point, it doesn't matter. You go to a concert, it doesn't really matter. Like, because you're there and you're either rooting for the same team or you're rooting against, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you're there to enjoy a game, and it's insane because for 4 hours, nobody cares. You're at a concert, you're there to hear music, be entertained. Nobody cares, And to me, that's the beauty of entertainment, and that's the movies. You go to the movies, and it's escapism, right? Like, you get to go there, and you're sitting in these comfy seats, and you've got your popcorn, and you get to get away for a couple of hours. And those are just things that I think are, again, inherently American that we're getting away from, but they're also a big part of our economy. And if they close or they go away, that has, a snowball effect on other things.
Yeah, it's funny because I went to Joey's first game was in Marco Island. Mm-hmm. And we went there, and I was shocked they played the national anthem at the game.
Why?
Because I hadn't heard it at a game locally in a long time. It was like it wasn't even a thing.
Have you been to the start of the games?
Yeah, here.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah, I'm positive.
Showing up on time.
I'm positive because I looked at Rachel and she's like, and I'm like, that's, and it was great. And then now they're playing it here again. But for a while, it was kind of, people were kind of weird about it.
No, I don't know. I haven't been to a sporting event.
Maybe it was just Florida.
No, I go
only
to sporting
in
events in Florida.
Like that guy. At least I got it on my flip phone.
I don't know what that is, but
some TikTok guy.
I thought you were going to say dude with a sign or something, but no. The national anthem is mandatory at all sporting events. Like,
it's mandatory, period. And it.
Well, no, I don't need the national anthem when I walk into work every day. Like, I'm okay. I don't need to. Like, no, I'm good.
You could sing it to me.
Dealing with you.
But they're taking it out of schools. You know, the Pledge of Allegiance out of schools.
But when was the last time that they? I don't know. I don't even remember if we were doing the pledge every day.
Who?
In high school.
High school.
Does it stop? Does it stop in middle school?
I don't know, but I remember it when I was in school.
No, I remember doing it in elementary school. That would be an interesting thing to look. I just don't remember.
Just curious. I bet they still do it in some states.
But we definitely did it at like every high school sporting event. Oh my God, you definitely had the national anthem. We didn't do the pledge, but we had the
Pledge of Allegiance used to be in every school. I bet it's still in some schools.
But like even when I host stuff, like if I host stuff for the school system, like we do the national anthem and we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
But they're pushing it. They're pushing that, because people are starting
to make
take
everything political, Len? Why do you make everything political?
I'm not making it political.
Someone else is talking about Bed Bath and Beyond. And now we ended up on Biden and Trump hats again.
Yeah, well, that's.
Are you trying to make me angry? No.
Trying to make me.
So anyway.
Well, I like you when you're angry.
You love me when I'm angry. You're evil like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like Pinky in the brain.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So anyway, yeah, interesting conversation today. I sent you a lot of headlines. Like I said, the one about Bed Bath & Beyond just felt kind of like the 80s. I was a little nervous from an economic standpoint and the stock market because it felt like that, seeing that reaction from a CEO, a CFO, just was like, okay, so what am I missing?
We had somebody in here a few weeks ago that's totally in tune with the real estate market. And what did he say? He said, I'm going to do better in real estate in the upcoming 6 months than I've done in my entire life. So what does he know that we don't know? What do the billionaires know that we don't know?
Well, usually when you do well in real estate, isn't that because there's a crash?
Pretty much.
Right?
It's, because it's going to...
It ends up being foreclosed or short sales.
Yes, things are going to change. The economy is ready for a hiccup.
But that individual also said that the middle class is either A, non-existent, or is not something that you should strive for. And there were some interesting comments regarding that. Do you agree with that though? Because again,
yes.
to the Bed Bath & Beyond, to the 20% of people that are being laid off.
There's more, let's just say this is the middle class. I would bet there's more people in the middle class that are a few paychecks away from being broke than not. So if you're in that position, if you're in this middle class and your job goes away as let's just say you are a upper level management at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah.
And you're making $75,000 a year at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yep.
And your job goes away, you're done. You're no longer middle class. You just drop to the bottom of the food chain. Because where are you walking out of there and getting into something else? So I think that's kind of what he means by the middle class. This is a group of people in this country that are, on this path that if they have no security going forward and someone pulls the rug out from underneath them, they could be in bad shape. And it's been exaggerated by the fact that this country was shut down for 2 years. That exaggerated it because those, a lot of people spent all their savings living for the last 2 years.
But do you think that we do enough to protect the middle class? Because I really do believe, yes, we have more millionaires than ever before in this country and around the world now.
No, I don't think we do anything to protect them. I don't think we educate them properly. I don't think we give them the tools to succeed no matter what the economy's doing. No, I don't think that we protect them.
So this is really, I think, the heart.
And I'm the middle class, as far as I'm concerned.
This is the heart and soul of what I came in kind of wanting to talk about, and that's what is so fearful to me, because not everybody is, and I love Grant. Not everybody is going to have a private jet. Not everybody's going to have a $450,000, Rolls Royce SUV.
Easy.
What? Okay.
I thought you were referring to me.
No, you can be the one that has it. What I'm saying is,
try.
and not everybody aspires to that.
Correct.
Though. And
Correct.
There's nothing wrong. Like we don't need to be like right now, part of our problem is we're a nation of excess, right? Like everybody wants to consume more than they actually have the capacity to consume, and B, can afford to consume. And that mentality, in my opinion, kind of feeds into that, because there's also a certain drive. It's the same thing you asked me, why aren't there more women in finance? And there's many reasons for that, and I think it's getting better. But there's a certain level, like there's just a certain build, like there's certain characteristics and qualities in a person that are necessary in order to succeed in that field, in that world, male or female, it doesn't matter. You have to be built similarly, right, in order to be successful. There's certain traits that you got to check. And there's certain traits that you have to check to be a Grant, to be a Lenny. And not everybody aspires to that. Some people really do just want a house. They want to be able to put food on the table. They want to be able to put their kids through school or help them get a trade. And they want to be able to retire and not have to worry about literally ending up under a bridge somewhere and not being a burden on their children, right? Like there's a lot of people that just want to live. It's not about having the most on the street. It's not about having the biggest house. It's not about necessarily family trips to Vail or Aspen or the south of France. Like that doesn't appeal to some people.
What's caused that middle class to want to aspire to be like that? What's caused that middle class to want to have the best, the newest sneakers, the newest outfit, the newest this, the newest? What's caused that? What has pushed the middle class to it? And I know people that would fall clearly into the middle class that have had a job, have saved for their retirement, are, they're going to be more than comfortable in their retirement. They don't have, brand new car every 6 months. They don't have, the latest sneakers, but they live very nicely, very comfortable. They go to dinner whenever they want. They do whatever. So there is a percentage of the people like that. But there's the other percentage that's, chasing whatever they're chasing. And they're going to keep themselves in that, it's like Grant's head. And it's, if you listen to what he said, they are the most, that's the whole Manchurian candidate thing. They are the most guided and suppressed and controlled people in this country. And they're controlled by
advertising.
They're controlled. They're pushed however they need to be pushed in whatever direction they want to be. So when you have that and people buying into that on the daily, the American dream is just being able to choose what you want to do. I want to do this. Okay.
But we're taking a lot of those options away. And I guess that's kind of like when you talk about being able to support your family, managing a Bed Bath & Beyond, right? We're taking that option away. And when we close down brick and mortar stores, when we, I don't even know what to say.
You're from the Northeast, right? So I went to New York on a trip with Rachel and Nick one time, and we got on the train in Manhattan, and we rode to Poughkeepsie. And I was talking to this guy on the train, because people would talk to you then. And the guy rides the train for 2 fucking hours, both directions, every fucking day. 4 hours out of this guy's day, 5 days a week, is commuting to his job. That's normal for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's normal in South Florida, too. You know that, right?
Commuting in South Florida is sitting in traffic.
Not 4 hours. It's still, no, Lenny, if you live in Pinecrest and work in Hollywood and have a typical 9 to 5, you're in traffic an hour and a half each way.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that do that.
That's what it boils down to, the middle class being able to live, is they have to live farther outside of that spectrum. I mean, it was Weston and Pembroke Pines for a long time was an affordable area where people could buy houses. That, the whole market.
But this isn't a utopian world that we live in. There's always going to be haves and there's always going to be have-nots. The beauty of this country was there was a large group of people in the middle that lived very comfortably in the I have, but not necessarily excessively, but I had more than the not, and that division, that gap is widening greatly. Like literally, I pulled up an article and we're not going to get into it deeply today, but the poverty line now is considered $52,000 a year for 2 adults and 2 children. If you're making less than that or bringing in less than that into your household, you're living below the poverty line. There was a time when if you were bringing in $50,000 a year to your household, you were good. You were middle class.
$50,000 a year would buy a lot of beer.
Lenny, please be serious. I don't know. Where does that line from? Where is that from?
From the 80s.
Len, I was 1.
It's a song.
I don't know. What song is it?
What song is it? Jesus, now you're making me dig deep in my fucking memory banks.
Well, then don't quote obscure lines.
No, it's not obscure. It was one of the most popular songs ever.
It wasn't that popular. It certainly wasn't, Toto Africa, because I know those words.
The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Oh. The only line I know from that is my future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Yeah, $50,000 a year will buy a lot of beer, because that's what he was talking about making when he came out of school. But
now $50,000 a year is poverty.
I get it.
So if the workforce doesn't
42
adjust,
years later.
Do you know what I mean? But if the workforce doesn't adjust, then how does everybody keep up? How does everybody catch up? That's why when we're talking about this and you have, I don't want to call them entry-level jobs, but a place where you could go, supposedly at Costco, you make $27 an hour to be a cashier. I'm not mad at that. But when you put it in perspective, that's barely you know what I'm saying?
That's poverty.
But $27 a year used to be like,
$7 an hour.
Yeah, an hour, sorry. But $27 an hour was, you were making money. Like, that was a good job. So it's wild, but it's like sometimes we need to go back and we need the reality check of where we're at economically, and then people have to adjust. Like, you're a business owner. Like, when you look at that, hey, I pay my employees great. Oh, really? What's the average salary? Oh, $50,000 a year. Like, no, that's not great anymore. That used to be great.
Yeah, but it's you're going to drive some of those businesses out of business because they can't afford to keep up with that kind of rate. There's got to be a give and take. There's got to be
the give and take.
There's got to be, in entry level jobs have to be entry level people. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you were going to college, if you didn't. But the middle class, you didn't need college. Like, you could be middle class. Like, again, you could be a salesperson with your suitcase knocking on a door, and that was going to get you the house with the white picket fence and the Buick in the driveway. Granted, it was only going to be one Buick. It wasn't going to be a Buick for everybody in the house. You know what I'm saying? Again, priority shifted a little bit, but there was a time when college was legitimately for the upper echelon, right? Like, then we said, oh, everybody should go to college. And now everybody comes out and has debt, right? And so now you're coming out of college and still making $25,000 a year. Or now I've now incurred college debt, and there's a person working at a Wendy's making $20 an hour, and I'm making $15 because I'm in an entry-level position. Yeah, but are we teaching our kids any skills? Is our school system teaching any kids how to be successful? I mean, is there anything in our educational system that we should be fighting to have when we're fighting over bullshit?
What do you mean?
I mean our basic education system from kindergarten through 12th grade.
But I also think it's important to say, listen, like, not everybody has to be Grant Cardone. Like, no. Not everybody. But that's the problem, is that you love to talk about the phone, what we're fed through marketing and advertising, is that we've created this sense that you have to have all of this excess in order to be happy, right? Or that, everybody's going to be and that's not true anywhere in the world. It's not true. And this was a place where there was a time when the average Joe, the average Jane, Jesus, Maria, whoever, could have a very good life. And it didn't mean that they were overly educated, but it meant that they had access to education if they wanted it, right? You could have a trade skill. You could work for the county. Like, you had jobs that kept the social, the system going. And we've taken a lot of there's no more tolls, right? Like, so that was a job that paid somebody a nice salary. We don't have that anymore. You had county employees that we've found ways to minimize or mitigate those. It's like you're looking at Detroit, where we used to make cars. We're looking at the textile and the fashion industry, and we've outsourced all of those. And it's like slowly but surely the people that because we keep the economy going. The middle class keeps the economy going. The rich are going to stay richer. They're going to jump out of windows. Sorry, Mr. CFO. Like, it is what it is.
But is that... Yeah.
And Grant said that. Grant said, the guy that's got $1 million, like, that's middle class now. It's wild when you think about that, right? Like, that's the crazy part about where we're at in 2022. So the super wealthy aren't worried about it, and the super poor aren't worried about it, in the sense that they've probably thrown their hands up, they are like, whatever. It's the folks on the hamster wheel in the middle, but we're the people that buy the Nike. We're the people that do those things. We're the people that go to Disney World and spend a year's savings on a family trip or more, right?
How long have they been talking about the middle class going away? It's been a long time. The middle class in this country has been dying since the 70s. It's been happening. It's been, the unions going away, the auto manufacturers outsourcing. All of this stuff has happened over the last 40 years, and all of a sudden everybody's waking up and saying, where's the middle class gone? It's gone. It's going away.
But you say that, like, that's not okay. Like, that's a very big problem.
No shit.
That's a very, like, and that's why
it's a real problem that nobody wants to talk about.
But that's why I'm fearful. So, like, when I see the Bed Bath, like, that worries me, Lennon. It worries me for many reasons. It worries me for the 20% of the people that are no longer going to have jobs. It worries me for this big empty retail space that's not going to get filled to employ more people, right? Like, there's so many cyclical things that worry me about that, the least of which is that very wealthy CFO who was cooking the books jumping out of his window. Sorry, not sorry. You know what I mean? Like the bigger picture ramifications of what this says about our economy and what we built this country on, that's the stuff that scares me. And yes, we could go back to infrastructure because we certainly need it. And that would be nice if our government would actually put some of those resources there and shore that stuff up and employ people to do those jobs. That's incredible.
Let's put $80 billion into the road system.
But here's the deal. How do we convince this next generation of kids that those are jobs that they want? Because that's the other thing. It's teaching your kids, and I'm pointing at you, but teaching kids that being a plumber is cool and it is gonna secure your future, the future of your family, and everything else. That being an electrician and a carpenter or a welder and underwater welder, that all of this is actually dope and smart and is job security and job longevity, and you can make really good money. Like, I grew up in that kind of community, as I'm sure,
Yeah.
Did you? I mean,
mechanics. I started out in AC. I started out doing AC.
Well, the people that build the vents and do the duct work.
I was 16 years old. But when I was 18 years old working air conditioning, I was making $20 an hour. In 1983, I was making $20 an hour. I have a young cousin. Not that young, but he's going to be 40, I think. He's been doing AC for 20 years, and he makes $30 an hour.
But are you ready, though? Len, we stopped valuing those jobs, though, as a society, and we started putting more emphasis on the guy who sits at the keyboard, which is cool. The person with the education is dope, and we're going to need a lot more blue-collar tech people to keep these massive computer systems going, which is why coding's so important in our schools and things like that. That's a different conversation. But we started turning our nose up to the construction workers, to the blue collar guys, to the, the painters that were members of unions and things of that nature. Like, and that to me is sad because that was something that I always grew up. My first boyfriend, like his dad owned a welding company. They did ductwork, right? He's passed that business down to 3 generations. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And his son went to a vocational high school, became a welder, can also make furniture, had a little side hustle while he was working for his dad. Then he ended up taking over. I think he does chimney shit now, like, or whatever. But in the Northeast, everybody's got fireplaces. Mm-hmm. So that's good work. And I came from that kind of community. But the plumbers that I knew cleared $150,000, $200,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Like down here, they were giving away free education at FIU. And I don't know if people knew this. They didn't care about your paper status. They were offering you 10-week courses at FIU in their mm-hmm. School of Engineering or Construction to basically give you like a crash course in all things construction so that when these big jobs for these high rises came up, you could kind of go in and fill in whatever needed to be done. But you were going to get, your certification for electrician, for plumbing, for basic mm-hmm. stuff. You couldn't go be a general contractor.
That's what the unions used to do. The unions, you would be an apprentice in the union and you'd learn from somebody above you. And that craftsmanship and that handmade thing is going away.
Well, yeah, because now we have IKEA. Yeah. But again, but it goes back to what you said. It's about tangibility, and it's like if you know what good like my mother was getting on me yesterday, and we were talking about ordering things, and she was like, most of the stuff that you order is made with glue, is glued together, furniture or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, not the stuff I order because you taught me better. Tongue and groove, baby, tongue and groove, And she was like, and I was like, hey, but she was showing me that from a very early age. She'd be like, see, look at this. Like, look at how this dresser is made, right? And this would be at a bargain We used to have this place called Building 19 up north, which would buy basically like fire sale stuff, mm-hmm. right? So you never knew what you were going to find there. But they maybe a furniture store went out of business, and they would buy all the inventory and bring it in.
Call it Marshalls now.
Home goods, but whatever, that was our version of that before. But we would go through and look at things, and like my stepdad was the guy who had the massive, he wasn't necessarily handy, he flew airplanes, but he could refurbish something, he could sand something down, put a little stain on it, whatever. And I just think that those are some of the qualities that we need to get back to, because I feel like there was a time when every man could fix his car. Like, I feel like there was a time when we valued, like, there's a reason why you made $20 an hour in the 80s doing construction, and there's a reason why your cousin is only making 30, 40 years later. Yeah. And it's like, these are still very necessary jobs.
I was entry level, and he's got 20 years.
That's insane. Like, how does it not evolve, though? Like, shame on the see, that just makes me mad. And so
it's a very difficult thing.
But that's the only thing left for the masses. You understand? I guess that's my point, Len, is that if we're closing these retail stores, you can't make $75,000 a year managing a Bed Bath & Beyond or a Sears or a Kmart or any other, or selling cars at a car dealership, because there's no longer going to be those either. What is left for the average American who doesn't want to go to college and get themselves into student loan debt? What job is left for them to do? That's the shit that literally will wake me up in the middle of the night, because I fully understand, as much as I, again, love Grant and think it's dope that he has a private jet and has $5 billion, in his real estate portfolio, I still know that this company runs on the middle class. So if 90% of them can't survive, if 90% of the middle class is living in poverty, if 90% of the middle class needs federal assistance to pay their rent, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much you tax us, we ain't going to be able to cover that bill.
You are correct.
I don't know what to say to that.
Correct. It's a difficult equation. It's a difficult equation, but again, there's a bigger picture, and somebody needs to look at it, and somebody needs to go, okay, this caused this. This is something that's been going on in this country for 40 years, and everybody thinks this is something new. People are talking about this like it fucking happened overnight.
It didn't, obviously.
They're talking about it like it happened over fucking night. And you can't fix it because it didn't fucking happen overnight. It happened over 40 fucking years.
Well, certain things did, for sure. The real estate problem in South Florida did not happen over 40 years. It happened overnight.
Listen, the real estate in South Florida, in the 80s, you could buy a fucking building on Ocean Drive for $400,000. It's now $40 million.
Yeah.
So but it went up like that a long time ago. It's now getting craziness, but it went from 400,000.
Well, no, but you expect that. I mean, again, I think it's the livable wage and things of that nature. I think what
how
we're
many
talking
things
about.
have we tried in this country with like row housing and projects and whatever else in this country to subsidize the poverty level situation?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It makes for a cesspool of bad
that's because
things.
there's also no other opportunity in those areas. So just putting a bunch of houses in an area and making them affordable.
What opportunities?
It's giving corporations, it's giving people a tax break to build in those areas and then to employ those people so that they can better their situation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. We build the projects and then we literally ostracize the area from any sort of,
the bigger
social and economic growth.
The bigger companies in this country, I think I'm not for sure, but I think Amazon pays fairly well. I think he's trying to get people educated. I mean, scale wise. Let's talk about
across the board.
Yeah, let's talk about scale wise. I think he's trying legitimately to get people up, and he's putting things in rural areas, which allows for lower rents and lower housing. I mean, there's still, drive an hour from here and you can get a big apartment for $1,500 a month, a big ass apartment.
But where are you working? That's going to
pay
you $1,500 like that because your rent is only supposed to really be 1 week's pay.
Yeah.
So you're making $1,500 a week.
Yeah, you're still borderline poverty level.
I get it. I mean, but if you're one person doing that now, both of you in the house are bringing that in.
Yeah.
It's a different situation.
It takes two people to work now.
But literally, and then that goes back to the thing that you talk about often is the family situation and that dynamic and the nucleus and why kids are at home by themselves on their phones, entertaining, Yeah. There's a lot of moving pieces that have gotten us, to your point, to this place.
Yes. Big circle. And if we want to fix it, we have to talk to each other. No matter who you fucking voted for, we have to talk to each other because we're all on the same fucking level. Okay? And if you don't want to talk to the people who are on the same level, you're going to get pushed around by the people who are above you. Period.
Period. Len, next time can we talk about we have to get your kids in here.
Good luck with that.
Joey, I know. Come in. Well, I want to know. I would love to pick his brain and see what his friends want to be when they grow up. I would love to know if there's any of them that are like, yeah, I'll do construction. Yeah, I'll be a carpenter. Yeah, I'll be an electrician. Yes, I'll do plumbing. You know what I'm saying? Or
until they figure out that they can't live on it. Then they'll want to be something.
You can live on those things. That's the point.
I mean,
Len,
my cousin struggles. He works 60 hours a week. He struggles. He's got 2 kids. His wife has a job that barely pays for daycare, and he struggles. He works 60 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. And he makes $20 an hour.
He makes $30 an hour.
Oh, $30 an hour.
And he struggles.
But again, you're not helping the point here. What we were talking about is this is the last kind of frontier where these jobs will be in existence forever. We're always going to be building shit. We're always going to need infrastructure. Yeah. So these are the jobs that we need to prioritize, but we need to make sure that wages catch up across the board.
Yeah.
But we need another generation of kids who prioritize those fields and don't all want to be influencers or the next, Zuckerberg or Bezos. Again, nothing wrong with aspiring to that, but literally those people are one in a billion. Like how many
there's still a lot of people. I mean, I have a friend, his kids all want to, one of them is a boat mechanic just like he was.
I love that, but do any of your kids want to take over your business?
I don't know. They don't really understand what my business is.
Do you understand what your business is?
Not really.
No, because that's another issue. You have families now that their kids were raised on this business that was built by grandparents or great grandparents, right, and has provided a very nice life for everybody.
Some of them try
and then they get to a
back.
point and then don't want it. They don't want it. So it's like Lorenzo's Italian Market. Remember in Aventura or whatever?
No, I don't remember Lorenzo's. Of course I remember Lorenzo's.
But that was why
go there every friggin'.
But that's why they closed. The kids
they closed because the property was worth $40 million.
No, but the kids didn't. But the kids didn't want it anymore.
Well, they were losers. You know that comes. This comes. Listen, this comes.
Would you have kept it?
This comes.
That was your family.
From.
Or would you have sold it?
I probably would have kept it. This comes from spoiled brats. I mean, I heard a story about someone who owned a large retail chain, and he had 3 kids, and he spoiled the shit out of his 3 kids, and they were complete losers. All 3 of them. And the grandkids don't get the inheritance until they're like 60 years old. Because the kids were such fuck ups.
Yep.
So, you have that, and then you have the opposite. You have kids who go right into their family business and embrace it.
Yeah. That's what the company that I worked for was family-run newspaper. But the lone remaining family member started off in the mailroom and worked his way all the way up. But when the company needed to shore up the pension plan, they had to fly in all the relatives, right? Because the company's been around since the 1800s. Fly them all in, and trying to convince these people to put $4 billion of their dollars into a pension fund for people and a business that they could give 2 bucks about was very difficult, and that's why they had to shut down the pension. Like, anybody who obviously had been hired up to that point was good, but no new hires would get it, because he was like, I'm the only person left with any tie to the family in this business. So I knew what the employees meant to my grandfather and my great-grandfather and my father, but the rest of my relatives don't care. They sit on the board. They're like, meh. Like, fuck the peons. Like, just so long as they get their little stock check, they're good. But asking them to fork over their own money wasn't going to happen. So when he's gone, who knows? Are his kids going to want to step in and be a part of the business? It'll be interesting to see. But that's a family legacy of, 100+ years. And it's now resting on one person's shoulder, even though there's plenty of people with ties to it. So that's sad, because I think in other places, you don't have a choice. No. Like, there's other cultures and other, in other countries where it doesn't matter if you want to be in the family business or not. You're in it. You're in it. You're in it.
I mean, listen, that was with the farms here in the United States. And I mean, even that's going away. Even that's hard for them to make a living. It's the bigger conglomerates have taken all the profits away from, I mean,
but we also force them to grow nothing but soy and corn.
It's
to sell to China now.
The pharmacy works on very low margins. There's low profit margins in everything you do that has a higher up above you. The liquor business. There's low margins in the liquor business.
But it's still a good business.
It is at what level? Because where are you at? Your distributors make money.
No, but even in retail, like my family was in it, and it provided a very nice life.
Yes. For
everybody involved, employees included.
But the margin based.
But it wasn't But you weren't over here caking and massive returns and in the black. But everybody was living. Everybody had insurance. Everybody had
a living is not. That's you could still make a living now at some level.
But I'm saying, like, I'm talking about homes that had equity in them. I'm talking about people not having car. Like, I'm talking about using a business the way you can use a business, where people have leftover funds to invest. There were 401ks. Everybody had, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had multiple. So
my family owned a bar from 1990 to 2004. And we all lived comfortably off of it for 10 years. From 90 to 2000, we all lived off of it. Rachel and I lived, and her parents lived, and we all made a living off of that one thing, which was fine, but it was a living. It wasn't changing our future or setting up our retirement or anything else. It was a living.
Okay. I mean, but could you have set up your retirement?
Probably not.
But I'm saying that my family could. Like, my great-grandfather.
Did they?
Started it. What? Yeah. Okay. I mean, but then they sold. So, I mean, there were family.
Are you living off of it now?
Well, no. There were family things that happened.
Well,
but what I'm saying is, my grandfather did.
Yeah, well.
Surely. And he also owned land. I mean, he did other things right. But what I'm saying is not everybody. Lenny, you have big dreams. You want to be the president of the United States of America.
I don't really want to be, but if you know,
but what I'm saying to you is you're also an entrepreneur. For some people, that is enough. And you could, like, if you don't want new cars every year, Len, like there's some excessive things that you like. You enjoy eating out. Like there's, there's some people that definitely would have been good and they could have changed.
Yeah.
You put your kids in private school. That costs a grip. And I understand why you did it and that made sense. But,
that's a sacrifice that I wanted to make.
Facts. But it just, again, it goes back to that where your mind is at and grandiosity is great, but not everybody thinks on that level and guess what? To my point to Grant was the world doesn't work with all Grant Cardones, and it doesn't work with all
Chiefs,
homeless people. You know what I'm saying? Like you need a vast array of people and personalities.
Yes.
In order to make this thing go, especially capitalism, right?
Yeah. You have to support your workers. What it boils down to.
Ooh. I think we should end on that note. You have to support your workers. I hope many, many, many chiefs hear that.
It's true, but by the same token, the workers have to support their boss.
The workers showing up and doing the work is supporting their boss.
Yes and no. There's workers like you have at Cali Coffee, which is a very successful business that's growing exponentially, and you have workers that are at Starbucks. Who fucking miserable to fucking eat it.
Who can't make 4 shots of espresso and some froth? I gotcha.
This is what it boils down to.
But again,
I guarantee you that, he has a lot of people there at that store on 29th. There's 8 or 10 people working at any given time.
Yeah.
His payroll is huge. He's paying it because he knows those people are his bread and butter. They're the thing that's making everybody come there.
Yeah.
Okay? So, Starbucks doesn't care anymore.
Well, and I think that's probably the most poignant part of what you're saying is that, a lot of times the team emulates leadership, right? Like, and that's one of those things. So it's, if you're coming in every day and you've got a great attitude and you're a glass half full versus a glass half empty type of leader, your team feeds off of that. And oftentimes your team will emulate that. But if you come in and you're negative or you're lazy or you're always bitching, your glass half empty, then that's what your team will feed off of. And if you talk behind people's backs and you are constantly cutting people down, that is the vibe and the energy that you will create amongst your staff. And if more people realize that, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, put out what you want to get back, put out what you would like your company to represent and reflect, then, I think that we'd be in a much different space.
Well, a lot of these big corporations don't care anymore because people are coming there no matter what. People are coming there no matter what. People are going to Marshall's no matter what. People are going to Kohl's no matter what. They're going there they don't give 2 shits if the lady up front's like the most miserable. But
then guess what? Then we're to blame.
Yeah.
If we're willing to put up with it and we keep going back,
Absolutely.
Then we're to blame. If we don't shop at Toys R Us, we're to blame when Toys R Us closes down, right? Like if we don't complain when the person, or we don't call the person at the window out for their bad attitude, like, ma'am, if you don't like working here, maybe you should quit.
Sure, no problem. Let me get your fries.
Well, no, don't. I would drive off. But, like, at that point, if you don't ever check anybody or if management doesn't come in and pull them to the side.
The caring's got to start there, and it's got to be. Look at Chick-fil-A. They're all.
But do they compensate their people?
I would bet Chick-fil-A and him don't pay much more than minimum.
In-N-Out Burger pays managers $150,000 a year.
That's managers.
Yeah, but that's where it starts, though.
Yes.
Like with your management. So if your management sees that somebody's going through something and makes that person feel valued and seen and gives you an attaboy every time you do it, or not every time, but like when you do a great job, when you go above and beyond, and that gets rewarded, do you reward your people on your team?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I might have
if
to
they deserve to be.
See? I might have to come to Tuesday meeting and just take a little.
If they deserved it. I mean, listen, it's a team effort. Mm-hmm. It's a team effort.
If they deserve it.
It's it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I don't think anybody here is crying. I don't think anybody here thinks I'm an asshole. Well, excuse me. I don't think anybody here thinks I'm a bad person to work for.
Must be nice to.
I'm definitely an asshole.
I was about to say thank you.
That goes besides it. It was the wrong word.
I was like, you're sitting.
It was the wrong
word.
How
to somebody who thinks you're an asshole? Are you kidding me?
Yes, but I don't think anybody.
I love you, but
I don't think anybody's running and looking for another job right now. I think they're happy where they're at. I try to make everybody. You can't make everybody happy all the fucking time, but I do make an effort, which I think is important.
Yeah, it is. Do you think that these people would go out and be good leaders based off of your leadership? Like, do you think if they turned around and opened their own businesses, will they be good chiefs?
You trying to put me on the spot here?
They watch our podcast.
Or they're sitting in the room while we're making it? No, yeah. I mean, I want them, my team's a core team. So if my core team can't be chiefs at some point, then my company's not growing.
Got you.
Right?
I like that. Yeah.
Because, the core team is the people that are going to have people under them.
I don't think we're going to figure all of this out today. I feel like I have a lot to process.
I think you do, too.
I do. No. Because I just think there's so many, I don't know, Len. I'm tired of being woken up in the middle of the night by shit going on in America. Like, I didn't think I was going to get in my 40s.
You're woke up in the middle of the night by your alarm clock because you got to be at work at fucking
that too.
5 in the morning.
I'm also woken up by the fear of not hearing my alarm. Very, very true. I can't blame all my sleepless nights on the state of America. Those are just occupational hazards. But yeah, I definitely think that we have a lot to address. We have to talk to each other. We have to, I think, get back to our core values. We have to, I think, remember what this country was really built on and get back to valuing that as opposed to the materialism and the excess and, the hopes and prayers and, I don't know, the pipe dreams that folks love to kind of barrage us with right now. Like, this could be you, sitting on an island in Bali at 25. And it's like, yeah, that'll happen for a few people and great for them.
Yeah, go there on vacation. Hopefully they'll give you a job.
All right. Well, listen, I know we have some incredible guests coming up on the ManTFup Podcast. Very excited for upcoming episodes. If you've missed anything from season 2, please go back and check it out. We did have Grant Cardone on with us. That was an incredible conversation. We had our girl Brittany Brave back on with us in episode 31 talking about all kinds of things. Tequila was involved.
Yes.
The conversation was very real, but she always brings a little bit of, levity to it. Who else? Misty Eyes was on. We were talking about, the LGBTQIA plus community.
Kendra was back.
Kendra was back answering questions that folks had in the comments, which, again, is something that we're doing all season long. So if you hear anything that is either triggering or leads you to ponder your own existence or whatever, drop a comment. We definitely read them. We definitely respond. And then we've been going back and kind of having subsequent episodes based just off of your comments and commentary. So like, share, subscribe, follow. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, drop some comments. You can email me, KimmyB at ManTFup.com, right?
TV,
ManTFupTV.com. You haven't said it in weeks.
If you have any thoughts or concerns, or you just want to flirt with her, please email her at KimmyB at ManTFupTV.com.
Like, she's too much. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media, please. TikTok and Instagram are really where it's popping the most, and YouTube too. All right, we're out.
Peace.